In the fiery atmosphere of the Miami Grand Prix, two of Formula One's biggest names, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, couldn't hide their emotions. Behind the flashing cameras and the roar of the fans, there was a deep sense of frustration after a less-than-ideal sprint and qualifying session. The tension was felt not only on the track, but also in the press room, revealing the human side of these racing legends. Is this the start of a comeback or a sign of decline? Let's discuss. The 2025 Miami Grand Prix was an unexpected drama, especially for the two top drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Although Hamilton managed to finish on the podium in the short 30-minute sprint race on Saturday, he had to face the bitter reality of qualifying for the main race on Sunday, where he could only manage 12th place. Meanwhile, Leclerc, facing a similar challenge, could only manage 8th place on the grid. Both drivers expressed mixed feelings about their team's performance, with disappointment clearly evident. Lewis Hamilton, the 40-year-old seven-time world champion, expressed his deep frustration after the sprint race. Despite finishing on the podium in the sprint race, Hamilton realized that his performance this time did not reflect the true speed he wanted. He stressed that although the team's strategy worked well, the sheer speed of his car was still not enough to compete at the highest level. It was a very difficult session. I have mixed feelings. We got a good result in the sprint race, but it was not pure speed. We made all the right decisions in terms of strategy, but in terms of speed, we didn't have enough, said Hamilton in a slightly depressed tone. He added that despite the podium finish, he could not ignore the fact that his car's speed was still far from what he expected. We didn't have the pace we needed to compete at a higher level. Even though I was one of the first in the morning to make sure we were taking the right steps, it didn't make a difference. The car felt different every time I went out, said Hamilton. Hamilton also expressed his deep disappointment at his team's failure to qualify for Q3. He even admitted that with a little more time he could have made it into the top 10. We lost out to Williams, who obviously did very well. But our raw pace was there and we knew that. Charles was lucky to get through on fresh tires, while I had to rely on older tires, explained Hamilton. Despite the disappointment, Hamilton remains optimistic for Sunday's main race. The weather forecast suggests the possibility of rain, so there is little hope that wet conditions could change the course of the race. Our car is not very good in the wet, but who knows? If the weather conditions change, maybe there is a small chance. But a lot can happen in Formula One. We also need a bit of luck to turn things around, added Hamilton. On the other hand, Hamilton's teammate Charles Leclerc was also depressed by the results in Miami. Leclerc, who missed the sprint race due to a pre-race crash, experienced similar difficulties in the main qualifying session. Despite an optimal performance in his final lap, Leclerc could only secure 8th place on the grid, more than half a second behind pole-sitter Max Verstappen. I feel frustrated. To be honest, what annoys me more is the fact that we maximized the potential of the car, but in reality the potential is not enough. I felt my lap was very good, but it only took us to 8th place. We were not fast enough, said a frustrated Leclerc. For Leclerc, this qualifying result is not only about grid position, but also about Ferrari's performance, which continues to be a dead end. Having struggled to find a balance between speed and stability over the last few seasons, Ferrari have once again shown their weaknesses, especially on tracks with many slow corners like Miami. I think it is more obvious on tracks like Miami, which have a lot of slow corners. We don't have enough downforce, and even though we try different car settings, the results are the same. We can't compete with the big teams like Red Bull, McLaren or Mercedes in this section, said Leclerc. Despite finishing on the podium at the Jeddah Grand Prix 2 weeks ago, Leclerc admitted that the conditions in Miami were very different. The track highlighted Ferrari's weaknesses as they struggled to keep up with the more powerful cars, especially at low speeds. This type of track highlights our main weaknesses, especially in the low-speed sectors. We even lost to the Williams, who we didn't expect to be in front of us, explained Leclerc with a disappointed look on his face. One of the most damaging moments for Leclerc came before the start of the sprint race. Leclerc aquaplaned on the wet track on the way to the grid, which caused him to hit the wall and forced him out of the sprint race. However, Leclerc felt that the mistake could have been avoided. Our main mistake was to decide to use the intermediate tire in such bad conditions. We need to analyze what happened as a team. It was a wrong decision and we will improve in the future, said Leclerc with regret. The mistake made our day a lot harder, both for me and the mechanics, because I couldn't do as many laps as the other guys. But in the end, I don't think it had a big impact on our result today. We just weren't quick enough. Despite the struggles, both Hamilton and Leclerc remain hopeful of an improvement in Sunday's main race. With the weather forecast uncertain, both are hoping that changing conditions could provide an opportunity to improve their positions. However, they are also aware that the pace of the car is a major factor that needs to be addressed immediately if Ferrari are to return to the top. Hamilton ended his comments on an optimistic, if doubtful, note. "I'm going to pray a lot tonight. If the weather changes and gives us a bit of luck, who knows? We'll keep trying and find a way to improve our pace," said Hamilton. Meanwhile, despite his frustration, Leclerc remains determined to do his best in the main race. "We have to keep trying, fix our mistakes and make sure the car can compete with the other teams. We have no choice but to fight even harder," said Leclerc. The main race, which will take place at the Miami circuit, still holds uncertainty for Hamilton and Leclerc. However, with their undying fighting spirit, both hope to change their fortunes on this challenging track. In other news, qualifying for Saturday's Miami F1 Grand Prix has been postponed due to chaos during the sprint race. There was a collision between Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, while heavy rain caused a delayed start and disrupted the race schedule. As a result, the FIA was forced to delay the start of qualifying by 15 minutes to 16:15 local time. Lando Norris won the sprint race after a hard battle on the drying track. Norris, who also won the race 12 months ago, hailed his luck in Miami after making the most of a timely safety car in the Formula One sprint race. "My luck in Miami seems to be pretty good at the moment, so I'm happy. It's always difficult, these races. You never know when you're going to pit. Do you pit early? It paid off for Lewis and he had a good strategy. Or do you stay out longer and hope for the safety car, you know? So it's worked 2 years in a row. I'd probably rather have it tomorrow than today, but I'll take it. I'm happy. Well done to the team, it was fun." Meanwhile, Aston Martin are now racing against time to get Alonso's car fixed in time for qualifying. The Spaniard was hit by Liam Lawson and sent flying into the barriers, causing extensive damage to his car. The 2025 Miami Grand Prix was an exciting and emotional event for two of Formula One's top drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Under the glare of publicity and enormous pressure from their teams, both drivers enjoyed a dynamic weekend. Hamilton successfully secured a podium position in the sprint race, demonstrating his exceptional class and experience. Meanwhile, Leclerc impressed in qualifying with a solid and determined performance. Behind this performance, however, both could not hide their deep frustration with the performance of their respective cars, which they felt had not been able to reach their maximum potential on track. Hamilton was openly critical of his car's lack of pure speed and regretted that race results had become too dependent on team strategy rather than raw performance on the track. Meanwhile, Leclerc expressed his disappointment with Ferrari's performance in a desperate tone, especially in sectors with many slow corners, which are his car's weak points. Will they be able to bounce back and turn things around, or will the pressure undermine their motivation and focus even more? Write your opinion below.